All right, where do you find rent-to-own homes in the Dallas-Fort Worth area of North Texas in 2025? Truly, there are several ways. None of them are good or convenient, but they do exist. The very first option that you have is a program, something like specific program specifically geared toward rent-to-own properties. You don't have a lot of options on that. And one of the programs that I do recommend would be Divvy Homes, Divvy. And I have other videos on that topic in this channel. But Divvy Homes have been around for a long, long time. They were around when the Home Partners of America were still a factor. Now Home Partners of America are no longer a factor, but Divvy Homes is still kind of existing in its very, very, very modified version. Right now, the way that it works is Divvy Homes, the company, they own maybe hundreds of properties across the DFW. And when one of those properties becomes available, they put it as a rent-to-own opportunity. So unfortunately, you cannot pick from a very large stock of rent-to-own properties in the specific area. Let's just say you want to be in Arlington, there may be one or two properties total, if maybe less in some areas. And you cannot control the price. Like if you want to spend 2,100, but the lowest available home is 2,500, your SOL. So that is an example of a actual working, credible, real, non-fraudulent rent-own program that I do recommend, Divvy Homes. I'm an agent with Divvy Homes, so if you want to know more about how Divvy Homes operate, how to qualify, how to navigate it, give me a call. My phone number is in the description below. There are additional rent-own options programs that I do not consider quite as good as Divvy. Divvy, in my opinion, is a true rent-own company. Other companies exist, but they're kind of like I'm not impressed with them. I will mention one, Utopia Homes. I do not know what's wrong with those people. They're all over the place with their policies. I did not have very good experience with them when I had buyer shopping for a rent-own property with Utopia Homes. So I'm just being straight up about that situation. And they're supposedly a rent-own program, but I would say that I could not figure out how to make that program work for my buyer. Anyhow, Utopia is potentially a rent-own program, and if you can figure out how to make it actually work, then they do have property that they own or with whom they already pre-negotiated rent-to-own agreements. So maybe I shouldn't be so harsh on Utopia Homes. They did have some properties that they apparently already have agreements with the owners, but overall, their process was not enjoyable and we quit the program. Other than that, there are no, as far as I'm concerned, no like large programs that you can go to. So another option is there are two more options. Option number one are homes that are listed as rent to own in the MLS. MLS is multiple listing service. Realtors have access to the MLS. You have partial access through Zillow, etc. Realtors have a much broader access. So through the MLS, I can see rent to own homes in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, but unfortunately, there's not a lot of them, but there are some. And we're going to have a video on that coming up shortly. Another option is to look at homes so that there's just an option. What are the options for rent to own? Another one is to look at home that's been on the market for sale for 5, 6, 7 months, have not sold yet. You can approach them and see if you can offer them to be a rent to own partner for them. And if they're sitting vacant anyway, but they might just as well potentially agree to accept you as a rent-to-own prospect, but it's a difficult conversation. Most home sellers do not understand rent-to-own, so you need somebody like me who can pitch the idea of you buying their homes for rent-to-own process, for them to even understand what you're talking about and to believe that you're not a scam, because there are actually people who are trying to scam people out of ownership of their homes by proposing to be rent to own clients for them, and then it doesn't go pretty after that. So that's another option. And then tired landlords. Tired landlords are people who've been landlording for a few years, and after doing a few evictions and bunch of lawsuits from their tenants, they're kind of burned out, and now they're ready to quit, but they are not quite sure how to quit their house yet. Offering rent to own as a possibility to them is actually has a potential. But again, rent to own is not a very defined legal process. It's not very easy to find paperwork that explains how to do rent to own properly without getting in trouble with state law. So again, you would probably need to work with somebody like me, who understands rent to own process, have done the legal paperwork for it, and can guide the landlord or the seller through the hoops and loops, and to guide you through the hoops and loops of the process without you both being lost in the legal process of this, the legal part of this process. Other than that, there is not really other options. I will disappoint you. It's not like there's a catalog where you open like like an eBay catalog of rent-owned properties, and you're just sitting there drinking coffee, enjoying a cigarette, and saying, "Oh, I like this house, and I like that house." You can do that when you qualify for a house. Before you qualify for a house, if you do not have a pre-qualification from the lender, then you kind of have to go through the thorns, very thorniest, very unpleasant process in many cases. But if you're determined to be on a path of home ownership, then it could be a process that you could use for real. And I have seen people go from renters for many, many years to homeowners within a couple of years of getting starting with rent to own. You can ask me for those testimonials if you want to. Anyhow, that is all that I have to say right now about the current rent to own options for 2025 in the Dallas-Fort Worth area of Texas. My name is Elena Garrett, and I'm a realtor in the Dallas-Fort Worth area of Texas. I specialize in rent-to-own seller financing, subject to an existing loan, which means taking over somebody else's loan. First-time home buyers, people who are self-employed, people with immigration statuses problems. I specialize in all of these unusual circumstances. And typically, if you work with me within a very short amount of time, you should be either in a rent-own program or owning your own home, unless your budget is very, very low. If your budget is $2,300, $2,500 and above, typically there is a way to put you in a position of home ownership very shortly. Alrighty, thank you so much, guys. I will see you at the next video. And the next video is going to be what is the what is the monthly cost of rent to own, and what are the down payment requirements for rent to own options. So go to my next video. I'm going to put the link both in description and hopefully somewhere here in the video, you're going to see a link to the next video, the costs of rent to own in Dallas-Fort Worth area in 2025. See you soon.